Hi. Before going to video, please subscribe to my channel for more interesting stuff.
Story by r/confessions. Posted by u/legit_unicorn_. I ignored my uncle's call for help the night he was murdered. Late at night in 2011 I was about to go to sleep when the phone rang. I had my own house phone in my room, so I got up and looked at the caller ID and saw a number I didn't know, so I just turned the ringer off and ignored it and went to sleep. My parents were already asleep by this time and were not woke up by the ringer of their phone. Next day started off as normal as always, and my mom was just working doing a long-time friend's hair, in-home hair salon. I was 12 at the time, playing Halo 3's campaign on the highway mission where you can drive the choppers literally, because I just loved those vehicles and wanted to drive one. Next thing you know, I hear my mother completely breaking down crying, and I nervously walked to see what was happening and saw her nearly broken just trying to dry this woman's hair. I had no idea what was happening till a few moments later she came to me and held my head in her arms and told me my uncle passed away. I found out later that night he had been brutally murdered, tortured, used a car battery to electrocute him, and then beat him till he was nearly dead. I was stupid enough of a child to look onto my mom's phone and see the pictures of him in the hospital. I was never really close with him, but it changed my perspective on life. I've been pacifist ever since and only ever became violent if it meant I had to protect myself or others. The things they did to him terrified me and I'll never forgive them. It's been 9 years and not a single arrest was ever made. Nobody went to prison and the investigation was dropped pretty quickly from what I remember. I know I was young at the time, but it still bothers me anytime I think about him. Just the idea that me answering the phone could have saved his life makes me sad. My mom was crying for months over her brother dying. I wish I answered it. Even if I had nightmares hearing what was happening, I wish I did it. I still remember everything, what I was doing, the woman who was in the beauty salon, the photos, everything. A year or so after, I began collecting knives and swords because my papa told me about my uncle's collection. My papa loved to buy me new pieces to add to my own collection, and mama told me it made him happy to see a part of his son was living on through his grandson. Only 2 years ago he gave me his favorite sword of my uncle's collection, and I'll keep it forever. Violence is a terrible thing, my friends. P.S. People are just constantly doubting and saying I'm karma farming and shit, so I decided to try and give it some sort of more detail and try and clarify some things. But as far as karma farming goes, I'm only on Reddit for porn and Destiny 2. Karma means nothing. He called a house phone, meaning he didn't call me directly, he called my entire family. Yes, I know he was a dumbass for not calling the police, but we live in a large county with not many police and we lived fairly close to where it happened. My family very likely could have got there sooner, too. As far as the car battery thing goes, probably a bad memory. I didn't hear everything in detail because obviously nobody wants a kid to hear that shit, but I know for sure something was used that electrocuted him, and I thought I remembered something about a car battery. Could be wrong. 3. Was his ex-girlfriend that had it done. She was in a wheelchair and was becoming less mentally stable over time. She had 2 people assist in killing him. He was invited by her to her place because they had a kid together and wanted to keep the friendship stable so they could still be somewhat close for the kid's sake, so they saw each other every month or so. That's how he ended up on the situation. 4. Thanks for the happy cake day guy that got downvoted in the replies. That was kind of funny, and I actually didn't know what cake day was until today. Thought it was for my birthday or some shit and was confused. Also thanks for the silver whatever the fuck that means. Hopefully this clarifies some things. Thanks to everyone who has replied kind things or their own stories. I appreciate hearing it, and I'm glad you guys can get some shit out as well. Story by r/confessions. Posted by You Don't Fear the Reaper. My girlfriend loves me is not a confession. Seriously, get the fuck out of here with your flowery lovey-dovey cuddly bullshit. That's not a confession. Other things that are not confessions: I've secretly been donating to charity for the past 5 years and planning on taking my wife to Disney, and she has no idea I secretly volunteer to help kids with cancer in my off time. You get the picture. We don't want your fluffy garbage on here. We want to hear about shit like the time you accidentally killed your friend with lace drugs or the time you crippled a 4-year-old in a drunk hit and run. Stop looking for Redditors to jerk you off. Thanks. And before this ends up on r/gatekeeping. Story by r/confessions. Posted by u/420murderer69. I murdered someone. My last year of high school, I left some industrial cleaner sitting on my kitchen counter. My little sister had a friend over, about 7 at the time, and she poured some of it into her chocolate milk without knowing what it was. Later that day, the friend came down with horrible stomach cramps. I let my family know and we debated whether or not to talk her to the hospital. Her parents were at a play and we wouldn't be able to reach them for another 2 hours. It took us 45 minutes to realize that the cleaner had been left out and tampered with. We called poison control and drove to the hospital. The doctors took her in to have her stomach pumped but said there might have been intestinal and lung irritation that could be causing internal bleeding. They asked me what the cleaner was. None of the rest of my family could remember. I told them it was a tile cleaner. But it wasn't a tile cleaner. We didn't even realize until we returned later. It was for glassware, which was more corrosive and would have required separate treatments. That girl didn't survive. It took me a long time to come to terms with that. I left that cleaner out. I couldn't remember what it was in time. My misinformation and carelessness may have cost that little 7-year-old her life. I guess you could call that one a truly epic fail. Story by r/confessions. Posted by u/sasukutsumaki14. I really hate my brother and actually want him to die. Since I was younger, my brother would be such a real massive dick to me. He would be so much of a dick that it shouldn't be natural. To the point where it would actually hurt my own feelings sometimes. Like any young child, I touch things. Sure, you would give a normal little yell or probably even a little spank, but my brother, he would slap me a little harder than most people, and he would purposely involve his long ass nails in the slap. Whenever it comes to me, he wouldn't care about my well-being. If my mom or somebody left some food for me when the rest finished, he would eat it most of the time, and when my mom asks him why did you eat it? That was his food. He would always have the same response, nobody cares, or why should I care? I used to pee in the bed up until I was like 11 or 12 because I was never trained and would mock me saying that I smelled like pee. Even when I know I didn't pee the bed, he would still be mocking me. And the older I get, the worse it got. In my middle school days, he barely want me to go outside. I had to ask my mom. I forgot to mention that from my elementary to my current high school years, my friends would always be so generous and let me have the old phones every time they get a new one. And I mean always, because my brother is the only one in my whole family to take my phones just because I didn't buy them. He would assume I'm using my friends for their phone, which is outright bullshit because I don't even ask sometimes. All of my friends would have a phone, and my friends would see that I don't have a phone to play Minecraft with them, so one of my friends would give me a phone that they aren't using out of generosity. If it was an Android, he would always look for the opening in the Android and take out the battery and keep it, and would say he does want anybody bothering the house asking for it back. Which would be bullshit and make him look so stupid, because if you don't want anybody knocking on the door for it, why would you take it and keep it? And what makes me hate him from the bottom of my heart and the depths of my soul till this day is how he has absolutely no faith in my future. He never believes I would achieve anything and always says really cruel things thinking it doesn't hurt me. Example is when he would make cruel remarks that really hurt and are intended towards me, like when he told my little brother, "At least you won't be some 14 that can't even think straight," and look dead in my eye after saying that and walk away. He has never dropped me off to school when I was late. One thing he does till this day is that he should get so mad if I know the Wi-Fi password and only my phone would be connected to the Wi-Fi. Then he would always change the password just because I knew the Wi-Fi password. Like, who does that? Just because he paid the bill a few times he would think he owns it. Even go to put his middle name as the Wi-Fi name and his first name as the password sometimes. And if someone else in my family knows the password, he doesn't care. And he puts age restrictions on Xfinity TV cable box for me not to watch rated R or mature movies because he says I'm not 18 yet. Like, who cares, because nobody else in my family cares what I watch. And he would let my sister connect anything to the Wi-Fi and he doesn't care. And I'm really mad at my parents because my dad or mom just set a limit on what he can control in the family because they think he is the smartest and knows everything, instead of my dad managing the Wi-Fi name and password. My brother doesn't. If my dad gets a new device, he has to bother my brother to connect it to the home Wi-Fi. There is absolutely no reason why I shouldn't be connected to the Wi-Fi at my own house. He doesn't believe anything I say, even if it's the truth. Like when I bought an Xbox One from my friend for $50 and he said nobody can get an Xbox for $50. GameStop doesn't even sell them for $50. Like, who the fuck buys from GameStop anymore? He doesn't want me to have a phone in high school thinking that I don't need it and thinks everything is on paper. He wants an excuse for me to do work on paper. He thinks teachers still want to grade papers like when they did when he was in high school. And he graduated 10 fucking years ago. Google Classroom and Good Docs and probably other Google services we use for school wasn't even made back then. My mom gave me her old phone my freshman year because I didn't have a phone since my brother kept taking them, and he would try to convince my mom that I don't need it, and mom knows how he acts, whirls me, and she would ignore him. And when my dad got me my first phone, he always kept tabs on me on where I was in the house and how long I would stay in the bathroom, and would take my phone sometimes if I left it somewhere. He always reminds me how I have only 2 years left till I graduate high school and leave the house because he thinks the house would be a lot more better. WTH me gone. Nobody else in my family thinks that of me. And my big sister has to literally tell him to chill sometimes. He just goes too far. I'm literally 1 year younger than the GTA 5 age limit of 17 plus, and he's the only one that bitches about me playing it. Like I don't know about anything they do in the game. 8-year-olds play GTA 5. Nobody cares about age limit anymore because nothing is censored in the world. Absolutely no big brother should act like this, and it's unacceptable. So big bro, by any chance you're reading this, I hope you die, and I wouldn't care, and if you actually do die I'm guaranteed not to shed one fucking tear at your funeral. Long story short, my brother mentally and physically tortured me my whole life, and now I have a deep hatred for him. Sorry it was long. I really vented. If you read the whole thing, thank you so much.
Thanks for watching. Please do like, share, comment and subscribe for more videos.